coming up on Not the End, NDE.
As I turned around and started my journey in the western flow, I stopped. More of the glory of God was just ahead. And then the voice of the Holy One said in pure love, if you take one more step, you will not be returning to your body.
Many have died and returned to tell of their near-death experiences. Their incredible stories reveal to the living that this is not the end.
A most beautiful and meaningful day to you. I want to thank Phil for this opportunity to share with you about my near-death experience I had on November 29th, 2018. Near-death experiencer, an author, an artist, and pastor, Howard Storm and I spoke at a youth gathering. Howard was the keynote speaker for Saturday, and I was the speaker for Sunday. Here's a powerful quote by Howard. Quote, "The sustaining fact is I have the Spirit of God with me, and I'm never alone in this drama called life. My hope is to convey this joy that is in me so that it will be contagious." End of quote. My near-death experience really started when I was a kid in the 1960s. I'm over 7 decades young now. So when I was a young teen, my cousin Tim was living with us, and he was around 10 years older than me and would share with me about near-death experiences and interdimensional beings and so much more. God was using Tim's sharing to prepare me even way back then. Since 1983, I've been teaching on the divine love of God. I've taught in over 54 different denominations, teaching and facilitating or being part of retreats and workshops and sharing God's love in one-act plays. Back in the 1980s, I even had a communist atheist group ask me to come to their group to speak on this ever-expanding love of God. For over 3 decades, I managed and created programs for international grad students and have met incredible folks from 177 countries. I would share this divine love with these precious people. For 30 plus years, I was involved in Lakota ceremonies like sweat lodges and healing ceremonies like Uweepi and the Lawampi ceremonies. I was even at Sundance. That was very empowering. I also facilitated land healing ceremonies. My life was filled with mystical experiences on a regular basis years before my near-death experience. I was taught long ago that every breath is sacred, every step is sacred. I have shared this incredible path I've been on to lead up to my near-death experience, which was not a wake-up call for me or a reset in my heart thoughts or a reset in my head thoughts. Even before my near-death experience, I knew there was so much more, even beyond the spiritual. My near-death experience confirmed all my years of teaching on pure love and the near-death experience expanding within me and beyond the transforming wonders of pure love. Many precious souls say, I'm more spiritual than religious. But most of the time that word spiritual has 3D connotations wrapped around it that keeps people still very connected to lower energies, lower vibrations. I've had other experiences where I thought I was going to die and did not. These energy experiences also prepared me for the actual near-death experience. Let us mystically shuffle up to July of 2017, where my true path to the near-death experience began, preparing me for the near-death experience on November 29, 2018. I was so blessed to be on a pilgrimage trip to Michigan. 3 of my other my friends took me on this long weekend trip, and we drove to the National Shrine of the Cross in the woods in Indian River. My friend Rob Bob had been desiring for me to go for several years since his family spent vacation time every year up there. So this weekend, I was not walking well, so I was using the scooter I named Cabijo. I've had chronic Lyme for several years at this point. We made it to the Thursday evening service in a small chapel. We sat in the back of this simple chapel, and up in the right corner was this elder priest, a Franciscan, and he was wearing a zucchetto on his head and a cane in his hand. I connected with his saintly energies immediately. His radiating divine glow was touching me deeply. His name is Father Tom, and I love to call him Tom the Truther. This 83-year young Franciscan monk was having confessional time the next day. I told the guys I would love to spend time with the Father, Tom, tomorrow. I was really nudged to do this internally. So we drove to Cross in the Woods, and like usual, Ed and Wingman and Rob Bob removed Kabiho, my scooter, out from the back of the pickup truck. Kabiho is a southern town in Rwanda, Africa, where Mother Mary appeared in the 1980s, warning the people to change their ways of hate and division among two ethnic groups there. 10 years later, the Rwanda Holocaust happened. So Kabiho the scooter was a reminder for me to be the divine love each day and live each day as it could be my last day. I pulled up where this room was in Kabiho. I had my cane in one hand and my rosary in the other hand and entered the room. It was like a tiny living room with cozy chairs and a small table with wall decorations and carpet. Tom the Truther invited me in and to sit down. His energies were divine and very comforting. Father Tom the Truther's eyes pierced through my eyes and into the veil of my soul. It was a look of cosmic divinity. I was in internal and eternal tranquility in his presence. He had his cane leaning up against him and had his rosary in his other hand. He was reverently quiet for a sacred while, listening to the Holy Spirit. We were sitting knee to knee in this tiny living room, and Father Tom started speaking. He spoke softly, but his words had the divine flow from a strong, grounded soul rooted in divine ways. Yes, something was in the air. He took his hand from his heart and he touched me so tenderly. I thought, this is the touch of the Christ light. This is the touch of the Christ love. His touch, it was divine. It was like timelines converging and different dimensions converging. Yes, a wowzer moment. The divinity came through to my being and into my inner depths. I can see it now so vividly as I share this with you. He touched his heart and said, I'm preparing to die, and you are to prepare to die. It is coming your way. When he touched me to emphasize this truth, I heard an electrical snap. Then a charge of divine energy went through my body. He shared some more, and again, every time he touched me, this divine electrical energy of pure love coursed through my being. It seemed to course through more than just my physical being. It seemed the veil opened up for this amazing wave of divine love to come through like a tear in the fabric of the sacred veil. I just knew his every breath was true, and his every word was true, because of the higher vibrational divine energies on Tom the Truther and flowing through him like one amazing river of life. This pure love filled our little living room. At this time, amazing ones, I'd been teaching on divine love for 35 years. And this time, Tom took me to another level of divine love, agape love, unconditional love. He blessed me with this buzzing energy being released from him. I shared my deep thanks with Tom the Truther, and we said our goodbyes, and I thought, we will never meet again. When I was walking out of this room of divine flow, there was no fear, just divine, radical, pure love. Souls of the more perfect love does cast out fear. I knew walking back to Kabiho, it was part of why I said yes to being here at this time in this life cycle. So much to learn and so much to experience, and so much transformation to take place deep within me. I shared this truth with my three friends. I knew I had to prepare for this day of dying. But could it be on the way home, or after I tell my family, or even further out? Tom the Truther did not say it would be a near-death experience, and he did not mention a date. But I know that he knew more than what he shared. It is like when an indigenous elder who shares with you some sacred insights but keeps much of the sacred info hidden from you. It is part of the journey to walk and breathe in the sacred info given in this sacred sharing. One is to live in awareness and try to put the pieces of this amazing puzzle together that the elder did not share. In other words, Tom the Truther is creating deep thinking within Rev. I call this deep thinking thunking. We drove home, and over 2 weeks later, another friend and his wife drove to Cross in the Woods after our positive comments of how meaningful and powerful a pilgrimage had been. They discovered that Father Tom the Truther passed on August 17th, 2017. This truth that Tom the Truther shared with me made me more aware of lower energies in my life and discerning what to do with these energies in these times we are living in. The more I let go of the lower energies, the more the higher energies show up. Spiritual awareness has become keenly sensitive to the mystical more, and I appreciate that, and I give thanks for that. From the time with Tom the Truther to the day of my near-death experience was 16 months. In those 16 months, I had oodles of mystical experiences. Pieces of the puzzle of my coming death were being placed on the table through many earth ceremonies. Higher dimensional beings who would visit me, and they would ask me, "Are you ready?" Through the many months between Tom the Truther and the near-death experience, I was nudged to update our will. On October 24th, we met the lawyer and updated our will. It is important to remember that I thought I was going to cross over, not have a near-death experience. The will being written was the high water mark for my crossing over. So 36 days after the new will with the lawyer, the day came. The sacred day Tom the Truther shared with me about. I'm preparing to die, and you're prepared to die. It's coming your way. The morning of November 29th, 2018 arrived. I had no idea this was going to be the moment Tom the Truther told me to prepare for 16 months ago. I facilitated a weekly class entitled Wokinis. And in Lakota, Wokini means new life or new beginning. It's also used in the context of seeking a new vision or new path in life. I was sitting in my creative chair at our kitchen table working on the next class outline. It was around 8 o'clock in the morning. I was typing on the computer when 5 of my gnome buddies appeared to the left of me in a semi-circle. No, these precious ones did not knock on the door or even ring the doorbell. They just popped in. We live out in the country and on a hill. My creative chair is only about 2 feet away from the back door that leads to the back door of oneness. And in most of our ceremonies, these precious ones are present. In their presence, just as with higher beings like angels, there are no spoken words. They're not needed. They shared this with me, these words, quote, "The dark church spirits desire to destroy you," end quote. Very powerful words. There was an urgency in their unspoken words. They stayed for a few seconds and then popped back out. Many head thoughts and heart thoughts were flowing freely like the words and energy of Father Tom the Truther, and glimpses were flowing in and out of the many pieces of this eternal puzzle I had experienced in 16 months. I actually was very tranquil. God and creation had prepared me many times over for this day. Through the gnome's urgency, I knew this event would happen very soon. I actually sat there in the creative chair and finished the outline for the Wokini class. Very interesting. Truly a new beginning in some form was waiting for me. My thoughts were focused on crossing over with no return, not a near-death experience. Again, I was at complete peace with these coming energies of death just around the corner somewhere. The wife and I decided to go for a dinner in town, and we left a bit before 2 o'clock p.m. We chose to dine at Bob's place, down on the farm. We walked in, I had the rollator, and we sat in the western part of the dining room. We had ordered our food and drinks, and they had arrived with my coleslaw and crackers and coffee. For many years, I've had a swallowing disorder, even where the wife had to do the Heimlich maneuver on me a couple times in restaurants. At first, I thought I was having another choking episode. Like so many times, I stood up, reached for the rollator to go to the bathroom to try to dislodge the cracker or the coleslaw. As I stood there with my hands on the rollator, I was choking, and this was totally different than any other time. I felt myself being pushed to the ground, unbelievable force. Then I became totally aware that this was my dark nemesis that I've dealt with most of my life, and have even wrestled with this powerful dark being. Back a few years ago, before this current day, this nemesis for 3 hours or so tossed me around our living room like a rag doll. I knew there in the restaurant for sure this was him by his energy signature, and he was crushing me down to the carpet. I collapsed, went unconscious. Later I found out the wife and then Susie, the assistant manager, tried the Heimlich maneuver on me. I came to for a while, and there on the floor I saw black shoes, and the spirit shared with me, this is a police officer. Then I went back out again. Later I found out he even tried the Heimlich maneuver on me. The life squad and fire truck and rescue truck had arrived. Then they put me on a stretcher and placed me in the back of the life squad. The wife was in our car, and the squad was not moving. They told me later the squad was in the parking lot for 10 to 15 minutes, trying to figure out if it was my heart or something else to decide which of the hospitals they were going to take me to. The wife was calling our adult kids to share with them the craziness that had transpired in the last 30 minutes. In the squad, I would go in and out of consciousness. One time when I came to, they were cutting my brand new long sleeve shirt off of me. I was so disappointed about my shirt. Then I was back out again, and then I'd come back half awake. And I heard the word clear, and my body shook, and the next time I knew, I was leaving my body in the squad and flowing upward. I was moving into the other realm, which I've traveled before. The first place where I was taken to was like a cabin of Grandpa's Fool's Co., a Lakota holy man and Sundance leader. He crossed over in 1989, and I'd visited him many times in his cabin in the past. We talked to one another, and he shared some elder sacred information with me. Then he took me to his back door, told me it was time for me to leave to go to the bridge, which many folks call the tunnel. All of a sudden, there I am, entering into the bridge from the east side. Directions have always been important to me on my spiritual, mystical journey of life. I was in a high dimension of amazing pure love. As I arrived to the bridge, I noticed I had to step up a little bit to get on this most holy bridge. Immediately, there at the east entrance were my 5 gnome buddies. They were smiling at me. I knew they were there for me. They were so comforting to me. I kept walking towards the west. I used to teach the Jewish roots of Christianity, and all those lessons came to me of the setup of the Jewish temple outside and inside. As I was moving from east to west, I remembered in the temple air, everything became holier moving from east to west. This is what I was experiencing, that I was walking, moving with each floating step I took. The lights and energies at the western end of this bridge was the divine one, all these incredible lights. As I journeyed west with each non-physical step, I was feeling the glory of God more intensely. As I traversed this holy place, lights came on from the south wall. It was just like the golden lampstand in the southern direction in the Jewish temple. I was so fascinated by the importance of all these connections. This was the picture wall of the saints, thousands of them, but only 5 pictures were lit up for me to see. 5 of the faces I knew. 4 of them were ancestors that are always with me at ceremonies, watching over me. They were joyful to see me. Guests Guess, beautiful souls, whose picture was in the middle of these 5 pictures that were in a frame, but they were alive in the frame. They were like in glory. This frame was like glory on the south wall. Yes, you're right. Father Tom the Truther was there to welcome me with his amazing, glowing, divine smile. It seemed I was forever home. For the man who shared with me in a complete love to prepare to die 16 months ago was there with me on this mystical bridge. His presence was so soothing. Yes, he and my ancestors were there to welcome me to this eternal place of flowing divine energies everywhere. The lights went out, and I continued my journey to the sacred West. I did stop once and look back to the east, and my gnome buddies were holding their hands and dancing in a Heyoka way, which means they're moving in a counterclockwise direction. My first thought was they are reversing the death energies. As I turned around and started my journey in the western flow, I stopped. More of the glory of God was just ahead. And then the voice of the Holy One said in pure love, if you take one more step, you will not be returning to your body. I thought to myself, I have taught on divine love, pure love for 35 years up to this time. But here I was in the very presence of divine energies, glowing in this amazing love communication with me. I had the choice to make, to take one more step to the west and stay in these divine eternal ways, or turn around and head east and return back into my body, 3D home. At that moment, I did not step westward, but I did turn around and saw my 5 gnome buddies still with smiles on their faces, holding hands and dancing in a Heyoka way, and so much joy. As I was looking east, I saw my Navajo friend with a smile on his face. Somehow he knew how to access this sacred place because he's still alive. He told me to get my whatchamacallit back here. Powerful energies of amazing love. I was in the midst of a divine pure love. It's hard to leave pure love after teaching on and living in this love for 35 years. I turned around and took one step towards the east, and instantly I was back in my body. At first, I thought I was in a coffin. I asked God, where am I? The sweet young female voice said, you're in a CT scanner here in the hospital. You see, I left my body in the squad and was not in my body for around 3 hours. During those 3 hours, my family who gathered at the hospital were baffled, and doctors, yes, plural, were totally baffled. The Rev never responded to any of their tests and poking and pricking and medication. For me, it was just another mystical moment in my life. But for my wife, it was very difficult and a challenging situation for her. When they returned me to the room, I had those 3D health issues going on. I could not walk unless I had assistance, but I could walk, and for that I was grateful. Secondly, my brain was on slow mode. For example, when I talked, it took time to form my words and sentences. And thirdly, my words came out garbled and slurred. I was already the special case for them when I was not there for 3 hours. But now that I'm back, I had these health challenges. It was like I was a test for them in so many ways. Our daughter thought of some of the Navajo medicine that was given to me by my Navajo friend the weekend before after one of our ceremonies. She called him to find out how to give this medicine in a good way with the desired results. Here's what my friend said and my family did. This is the stuff miracles are made from. Hannah and Meadow Walker, a ceremonial friend, went to our home to gather all that my friend said to use. They gathered the Navajo medicine, my favorite wolf mug from the wolf preserve, a wooden spoon, and bright red cotton material bands that we make prayer ties with, and a sacred feather, and returned to the hospital room. Medical staff kept coming in and out, so one of our sons went out and asked if we could have some time together alone for prayer. You see, wonderful beings of the more, many times in certain churches and sweat lodges and during other ceremonies or even just in meditation, I would leave and travel, and my friend knew this. So out of the red strip of cloth, they tied them around my wrist and ankles, and one of my family members held on to each tie down. Hannah and Meadow Walker made a paste with the medicine in the wolf mug, and Hannah applied it to my body with a wooden spoon. Meadow Walker was fanning me with a sacred feather with higher energies as she was chanting. I remember others praying out loud as all this was going on. I was still half out of it and not fully alert at all. They closed the ceremony, and one by one our family left except my amazing wife. Beautiful ones. Within 2 hours of the ceremony, I sat up in bed and told my wife with clear words, "I am healed. You can go home." She was going to spend the night with me. I said, "I will be released tomorrow." You talk about being amazing for me. It was just another mystical experience to learn from and to grow and expand to who I am. The wife stayed for a couple hours to make sure this miracle was going to stick. The night nurses were totally blown away. The next day, so many different doctors and therapists came into my room, and they could not believe it. My physical therapist took me out in the hall to see how I would walk. I'm still attached to my IV pole, and he was totally amazed. The speech therapist came in, amazed. The neurologist came in, and she was going to send me to a neurological hospital. She was totally blown away by this dramatic turnaround. Other doctors came in and were stunned. The lead doctor was young, and he came in, shut the door, and asked me to explain from my perspective what had happened, what is really going on over the last many hours. I shared with him everything, my bridge traveling, the Navajo medicine treatment by the family. It was good for them to experience this with me, knowing there's a mystical side to each one of us that can grow and expand. I'm not very connected to much of the Western ways. I'm not a TV person. I'm not a movie person, a sports person. I work on my divine connections each day to the Creator and to creation. They are entertaining, and they teach me so much each day. For me, yes, every breath is sacred. Every step is sacred, even in the good, the bad, the pretty, and the ugly situations of life. Again, my near-death experience was not a wake-up call for me. It touched many others, though, in those type of energies. But what my near-death experience means to me is how ever-expanding of who we truly are in the cosmos. I was not involved at all, hardly, on this thing called the internet back then. Yes, years before, our kids created a Facebook page for me that I did not use. Through this experience, I was nudged to get online and create videos and be connected to other near-death experiences, which I've done. This was definitely a divine nudge to do this. So many blessings have been shared and received. So many of those blessings have expanded, and some have taken root to create transforming energies for others and for me. New friendships have been created. I still get visitors from the higher ones, and they still ask me, "Are you ready?" I leave this question with you. What are they referring to when they ask me, "Are you ready?" Am I ready to cross over for good? Am I ready for each new day with the enthusiasm of the divine within me to be alive and live in the mystical ways? Or am I ready for what is coming to earth? Thank you again, Phil, and thank each one of you for taking the time to watch and be an important part of this video. You are a precious gift full of divine potential and purpose. There's so much more for each and every one of you, beautiful souls.
How is this story meaningful to you? If you're watching on YouTube, tell us in the comments. If you're listening to the podcast, leave a review and tell us there. If you or someone you know have a similar kind of story, please also leave that in the comments or send us a message at our website. Maybe we'll feature you. Visit nottheendNDE.com. Be blessed and a blessing, my friends.